Hi creative friends, this is Sreya and thank you so much for being here. So today I am going to be working on my little journal over here, and while I am going to be doing that, I am going to be answering a few questions that I have been asked at various times after I put my art out there. And there are also I'm going to include a few questions that I myself have asked, and I figure that if one person asks a question, then quite a few of us have that exact same line of inquiry. So the very first question I'm going to ask is, I'm going to answer, sorry, is that, I have been asked through the years that when I put my art online, am I ever worried about, somebody copying my art? So before I started my YouTube channel, and my YouTube channel is actually quite young, I've only been making videos for about, I want to say about 8 months. And before that, I started, and I still have my Instagram account. I've just taken a hiatus from it for the past couple of years. But before that, I even had a blog. So I have been asked this question, and the answer to that is absolutely not. First of all, there is a long tradition of artists copying other artists to learn. And I just figure like, hey, if somebody wants to copy my art, I'm actually really flattered. It's a great learning tool. And I myself have copied other artists because I want to learn. When you copy another artist, you are building mind to hand muscle memory. So, if I'm copying another artist and I make these lines and I go, oh, this composition or these values or whatever it is I'm copying, now I have a memory bank, if you will, of that particular structure. And so when I go to do my art, it's gonna influence my art in some way. I might not be copying them exactly when I go to do my art, but it is going to be there. So absolutely not. I don't mind if people copy my art at all. And there's another couple of parts to the answer of that question. And the first thing, the second thing actually, is that my art is constantly evolving. So, if I did something 3 years ago, I'm not going to be doing that same thing today. So, no, I don't mind at all. And another thing is, nobody can actually truly copy your art. They can copy it to learn, but they're not going to have your juice. They're not going to have your inspiration. Like, only you can make the art that you make. So say for instance, this particular art journal that I'm making, and I talked about it in the creative blueprint video. I did a part 1 and part 2 of how I actually came to the inspiration of making this particular journal. So I am combining the Madonna from Italian/European art, and I'm combining it with the Indian goddess. And I'm going to combine it in such a way so that it is empowering to the divine feminine principle. And there's so much of, I don't know, inspiration and a confluence of different thoughts and ideas that there's just like nobody is going to be able to create the art you're going to be able to create. Like, I'll use Dr. Estes as an example. Like, only she can make the work that she makes. Only she can do what she does. Like, there is nobody in all of time, in all of history, that can create the work that she creates, because nobody else has her exact her heart, her mind, her soul. So when you are making art that is true to yourself and you're in alignment, nobody can really copy your art. So, it's just an impossibility. Now I'm going to move on to the second question. And this is a question that I myself asked, and I've mentioned it in another one of my videos, but I'm going to I'm going to go into it a little bit over here as well. So I was in Oaxaca, and I was, on the first night, we were all sitting around the table. I was on an art retreat with brilliant artist Connie Solera, and, she there were about 9 of us, and she was asking everybody to share what we hope to gain from the retreat and why we're, not why we were there, but, what did we hope to gain by the end of this, however long it was, 7 days, 8 days, whatever it was. And the first night I remember saying, like, I want to paint and draw something other than this woman that keeps on showing up in my art. Like, it's like a compulsive thing. Like, she just shows up all the time in my art. And, I also love painting still lifes and landscapes, but for some reason, I always come back to painting this woman. And what she said was so simple, yet it was so profoundly brilliant, and it stuck with me and it changed everything for me. And she just said, love what you love. Like, how brilliant is that? Like, there is no explanation needed. Just simply love what you love. That's it. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to explain. And Elizabeth Gilbert talked about this in Big Magic, where, we don't need permission to do what we're doing. Like, we don't need permission or approval or, somebody to agree with what we're doing. Like, we really don't. And like, if somebody has a problem with the art that you're creating, well, then Elizabeth Gilbert says it quite colorfully. She goes, well, then fucking go and make your own art then. And I totally agree with that, because it's the people who are not, they're not creating, that are the, people who are, if they are going to criticize you, those are the people that are going to criticize you, because the people who are creating, well, they're just they've got their eyes focused on what they're creating. And so this jumps into my next question, which is, how do you deal with criticism? So the first thing that I do is I assess, okay, where is this criticism coming from? Like, who is this person who's criticizing me? Is there any validity to it? And if I respect that person, okay, so let me give you an example. If somebody's criticizing my art, the first thing I'm going to ask myself is, okay, is this person an artist? It's not enough that I just respect them, because I could respect somebody and they are not an artist. They don't know anything about art. So why would I take what they're saying about my art into account? So the very first thing I'm going to go is, okay, who is this person that's criticizing me? Do they, is there any validity to it? And then if there is validity to it, I'm going to go one way and I'm going to try to accept that in a constructive way. But if there's no validity to it, if they don't know what they're talking about, I just don't engage with them, because I detach. And I find that detachment is the best way for me to respect my work, because when I detach, I am putting so much value on my work that I am not focused on, say, people who want to critique me. And Elizabeth Gilbert talked about this as well. And I love listening to her interviews, by the way. Yeah, her TED Talk, which went viral, is a brilliant, brilliant talk. And I encourage anybody to listen to that TED Talk of hers. But she's also given a lot of interviews over the years. And if you just go into Google or YouTube and you go Elizabeth Gilbert interviews, you can get so much information that is so valuable. So after she wrote Eat, Pray, Love, she wrote another book. It's called Committed, A Love Story. And I actually did read that book. And, she said that she got so much criticism because, she became famous for Eat, Pray, Love. And in Eat, Pray, Love, she was kind of she had a lot of negative things to say about marriage, and she was not the sort of person who was inclined towards getting married. And that's the whole premise of Eat, Pray, Love. That's the basic story. She was married. There was nothing really wrong with the marriage, but she decided she wanted to leave the marriage, and then she went on a pilgrimage, right, to Italy, to India, and to Indonesia. So she blew up from Eat, Pray, Love. And now she was like the next book she wrote was called Committed, a love story where she marries the guy that she met in Indonesia. So she said she got a lot of criticism for it. And actually that book didn't do very well. And maybe a lot of people don't even know that she wrote that book. But she said that it didn't matter because she wanted to write that book. Like that was just, yeah, she, she felt that way when she wrote Eat, Pray, Love. And then, 5 years later or however many years later, she's changed, she's evolved, she's grown. So now she met somebody and yeah, she wants to get married to him. So she wrote that book. And I think that's a great example of, you know, just do what you want to do. Like, so if people are going to criticize you, like, okay, let them criticize you. Like, always focus on the work. And I think I get this from my Buddhist teachings and my Buddhism practice, which is detachment, 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 detachment. And this way, you're not putting the focus on your ego, like, oh my God, somebody said something really bad about me, and oh my God, like my feelings are hurt, and what are they gonna think, and blah blah blah. That's ego. So you're not putting the focus on your ego. You are putting the focus on your work. Your work should dictate where it wants to go. And so if I want to draw like 100 of these ladies, well then, I'm going to draw 100 of these ladies. And if somebody has something to say about it, well then that's okay. That's totally okay. Like somebody can have an opinion about that. But then to go back to Buddhist teachings again, if I had to paint 100 ladies, each of those ladies are going to be different. They might look the same, but they're not the same, because in Buddhist teachings, there's a saying, it goes, you cannot step into the same stream twice. And what it means is that, yeah, you step into the stream and you're the way you are, but the next time you step into the stream, even it could be 5 minutes later, that stream is not the same, and neither are you. So you will never step into the same stream twice. So I get a lot of my creative, I don't even know what to say. I get a lot of my creative foundational thoughts from Buddhism, actually, because like beginner's mind, that is a total, it's a Buddhist teaching. And I use that all the time in my art practice. So, I say like, get your inspiration, your foundation, the things that are going to work from you, wherever you can find them. Like for me, it's Buddhist teachings, but maybe for you, it's something else. So, whatever is going to help you and like anchor you and give you a perspective that's going to ground you, then then use it. You can use anything. You can use poetry, literature, philosophy. You can use anything. Another artist's life, their tenacity, for example. So, okay, another question I've been asked is, do you need an excuse to create? Like, does it have to be deep and profound and meaningful and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And the answer to that is absolutely not. Absolutely not. You can create simply because it's fun. You can create simply because it makes you happy, or maybe it doesn't have to make you happy. Maybe it makes you feel alive, and nobody else has to understand why you create, and you don't have to justify why you create to anybody. Like you don't owe anybody an explanation, whether it's your spouse or I don't know, some random person. Like you don't owe anybody an explanation for why you want to create. That's that's up to you. But a lot of times, like when it comes to creativity, especially, and Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes talks about this in Women Who Run with the Wolves, and even in our other teachings and our audiobooks, and especially when it comes to women and creativity, it's almost looked upon as well, you have to have the house clean first, and you have to have this done and that done. And why are you wasting your time on, such silly little endeavors, whatever those endeavors might be? Whereas if you look at history, there are, I mean, every creative man, whether it's a writer, a painter, this, that, and the other, he had a woman in the background totally supporting him. I mean, I cannot tell you how many people in history who created all these great works of art and, who wrote books and whatever. There was some poor woman who was behind the scenes who pretty much dedicated her whole life making his life easy so that he could do his work and not be disturbed. And, she raised the kids and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's almost considered normal. So absolutely not. You do not have to explain to anybody why you want to create, and you don't need an excuse to create. And, I look to nature for this as a great example. The earth does not need an excuse to bloom. Flowers don't need an excuse to bloom. I mean, they just bloom. Like, that's just the way what they do. And like I said, get inspiration from wherever you need to get it from, so you can do the work that you want to do. Now, another question I have been asked is, so just say you're an artist, and do you have to be skilled at drawing and painting if you want to be an artist? And again, I'm going to say no. I mean, of course, you always want to practice. Like, drawing is a skill. There are things that they're tools to drawing, like spatial skills, line, value, proportion, etc. And if you can write, you can draw. So just don't compare yourself to anybody else, because I mean, if any person was going to compare themselves with, say, Da Vinci or, Durer, or, I mean, any of the great artists, okay, you're going to fall short. So don't compare yourself to anybody else at all. Just compare yourself to yourself and learn as much as you can, sure, but don't allow what you can't do to prevent you from doing what you can do. And there are plenty of artists who, they weren't that skilled at drawing, but they still went on to create amazing, beautiful works of art. And actually, Picasso said, I mean, he could draw like a master when he was freaking, like, I don't know, 10. I mean, I'm not even lying. I'm serious. He could literally draw like a master when he was like, I don't even think he was a teenager. So in one respect, he was forced to create all these different genres, because if you can paint and draw like a master by the time you're 10 years old, where are you going to go after that? I mean, are you going to spend your whole life just doing what has already been done? So in a way, his high level of skill forced him to think outside the box, because now he was forced to create all these other genres. And he is this is a very famous quote of his, but it said, it took him, well, I mean, for him, it wasn't very long, but it took him, like, I don't know, 20 years to learn how to paint like a master. He was being humble when he said that, honestly, because it probably took him 10 years. By the time he was like 11 or something, he was painting like the masters. But he said it took him a lifetime to learn how to paint like a child. So, you do not have to paint and draw like, you don't have to have a high level of skill. It's just like one time, a long time ago, I took all these art classes, and I ended up taking a color theory class. I took a few color theory classes, actually. And nobody can be expected to learn everything about color. Like, you just can't. There are artists who spend lifetimes dedicated to learning about neutrals, or to, focus on light and color and whatever. So you learn what you can. Of course, don't stop learning. But no, you don't have to be an expert to do stuff. You learn as you go. And Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes, that's like one of the famous things that is a thread throughout all of her work, is you learn as you go. Like, you don't wait until you're ready to do something. You do it before you're ready, and you learn as you go. So yeah, don't let your limitations stop you from doing what you want to do. Like, yeah, keep on learning, take classes, you know, you can get a book. I mean, online now you can do drawing classes. And really, with drawing, there are 2 pointers that I can give you. The first thing is do blind contour and semi blind contour drawing. And if you don't know what that is, just go into Google or go onto YouTube, and it's a very simple premise. And just do a blind contour drawing every single day for even 20 minutes. And the second thing is practice. Just practice, practice, practice. Even if you practice for, 20 minutes every day, it's a consistency. So anyways, you guys, these are a few questions that have come up, that I just thought, hey, maybe somebody can benefit from what my answers are. And I always appreciate you guys' questions, because it really gives me ideas for like future videos. So I really appreciate your feedback and your questions and your concerns and all of those things, because like I said, if one person has those questions, there's a really high chance that, a lot of people have those exact same questions. So anyways, you guys, if you have watched all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.